first, what we did. I first have to say that the CPSC staff has just been tremendous since the Act was signed into law last August, and I can't praise their work highly enough.
Thus, the
but they were operating in an extremely difficult environment right from the start.
Anyone thinks of as justice.
The Act was a very significant rewrite of our statutes, and it required that we begin promulgating regulations very quickly. The first rule had to be finally promulgated within 30 days of enactment. So we really had to begin our implementation with absolutely no time to train our employees into the nuances of the new statute.
Appeals for veterans' claims,
even though the Act doubled the workload of the agency,
lower quality rate
we began with no additional funds, no new resources for a period lasting over 7 months, which was the critical first period of implementation of the Act.
I think, too,
we also already had a very full safety agenda that had been planned for this coming year. So the new Act's requirements were layered on top of that important safety agenda.
It's time we take a hard look at this layer of bureaucracy.
We took very seriously our obligation to educate stakeholders about the requirements of the new law. In the first month alone, we began a series of public meetings, first providing an overview of the Act, with later ones addressing specific topics that had fast-approaching deadlines, the testing and certification requirements, the phthalates ban, the lead ban, all-terrain vehicles, books, apparel, to give you just some examples. We developed a special website dedicated to the Act, which includes automatic updates to the public. We developed a plain English summary of the law, most relevant provisions, and posted that summary on the website. We began what is now a list of over 100 plain English answers to frequently asked questions. We've also issued guidance documents on numerous topics, some of those that are particularly targeted to small businesses, resellers, and home crafters. Our small business guide got 365,000 hits on our website the first month that it was put up.
To once again have the opportunity to assess the appeals process for veterans' claims. As we all know, there are some long-standing issues regarding accuracy and timeliness of decisions throughout the system, beginning at VA regional office level and ascending into the appeals process. We must ensure that ratings boards strive for thoroughness and accuracy along with efficiency in their work, and this will have positive implications for the entire benefits adjudication system. I'm grateful for what we have been able to accomplish, not only on this committee, but in a concerted effort with administration officials and our Senate colleagues to put steps in place toward improving the system as a whole and the eventual elimination of the backlog of claims. I welcome our witnesses, especially Judge Cassold and Chairman Terry, and thank you all for your participation and contributions to today's discussion. I look forward to your testimony, and I yield back.
Thank you, Congressman Lambourne, and I would like to welcome all panelists testifying today. Remind you that your complete written statements have been made a part of the hearing record. Please limit your remarks so we may have sufficient time to follow up with questions. Judge Cassold, we're expecting votes, we're told, at 1/4 to 1/2 So hopefully we'll get through your statement and maybe even into questions before that happens. Welcome, sir. You are now recognized for 5 minutes. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Lambourne, Mrs. Halverson, for the invitation to this committee. I will make this short. My statement is in the record, and I will defer to it and open to questions. I would, however, be remiss if I didn't note that the court is in its 20th year of creation by statute, and this coming fall, the quorum being first established.
Businesses, resellers, and thrift stores is caused by the lead and phthalates bans being retroactively applied to inventory. And what I mean by that is that the law impacts not only products manufactured
I'll defer to my statement.
after the effective
the statement is in the record,
but it impacts products sold
fully,
after the effective
we just heard
date.
from our first witness,
And this
Judge
retroactive effect makes illegal on February 10th of 2009
and I will
inventory that was sitting in warehouses.
ask a couple questions, if I may. The DAV contends that the court is not applying the benefit of the doubt rule as Congress intended because it upholds denials based on weaker evidence if it finds plausibility despite the unfavorable evidence failing to equal the value of the favorable evidence. To rectify this situation, DAV suggests that Congress clarify the definition of material fact set in the law. First, can you respond to the benefit of the doubt issue, and what do you think would be gained by amending that definition?
To answer the second one first, it would depend on how it was amended, I suppose. You could give the court de novo review. I'm not sure I would recommend that because you have the agency that is responsible for the processing of these claims, the development of the facts. The court is not the developer of facts, if you will. We remand to the board to develop facts that might remand to the regional office to develop facts. And the court sits as an appellate review of the decision rendered by the secretary, that final decision being the one rendered by the board. As far as the benefit of the doubt, we do review the board's application of the benefit of the doubt, and we believe we do it consistent with the statutory mandate. And that has been reviewed by the Federal Circuit, and the consistency, actually, their decision rendered and said that if the preponderance of the evidence weighs against the claim, that means it wasn't 50%, it was against the claim. And when the board renders that finding, as long as that is not clearly erroneous, we uphold it.
In your testimony, you note several steps that the court took over the years to improve operating procedures. How were those plans developed, and why do you think you've seen better outcomes?
I'm not sure the outcome as far as a result is better. I believe the court from day one has rendered the proper decisions in the overwhelming majority of those cases. Timing, I think, is improving, and I think we'll start seeing the benefits of that.
Having met every single deadline that was in the statute over the last over the first 6 months of implementation, and having advanced over 40 rulemaking activities to date, we do know that much work lies ahead of us.
We've also implemented
and let me just give you a bit of a flavor of some of the problems that we see on the horizon as they impact small businesses.
To focus on the
first is August 14th of 2009, when the issue of retroactivity will occur again as even lower limits on lead content go into effect, pulling into the law's reach even more children's products. And this is where you're going to see the impact on books and bicycles. Permanent tracking label requirements also go into effect on August 14th, which will have a particularly hard impact on home crafters.
And I think that will
next February,
we're hoping that
small businesses will be facing testing and certification requirements when the stay of enforcement ends.
Well, that's
what can be done to improve the situation
beneficial, in your opinion,
to still protect consumers, which is what the law was intended to do and our mission, the mission of our agency, and yet help small businesses owners survive under the law. Attached to my written statement is a list of legislative recommendations from the CPSC career staff that would go a long way towards helping small business people while maintaining the health and safety standards and enforcement activities that are at the core of our safety mission. Thank you for holding this hearing today. This is the very first hearing on the Act's implementation, and I want to have a dialogue with the Congress so that we can work together to address the law's real-world problems by finding common-sense solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairwoman.